Welcome to the Rotary Club of York. I am your president, Aaron Jacobs, and it's my privilege to welcome you all here today. We represent service above self, and when it comes to service above self, nothing comes to mind more than the veterans of our country. We have Veterans Day this Saturday, and today is our day to honor our club members and guests who were veterans and thank them for their service. I ask that you stand and remain standing as the color guard from William Penn Senior High School, JROTC, presents the colors of the United States of America, followed by the parade of veterans, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Jack Dyson and the invocation by Steve Feldman.
Present arms, order, arms. Present arms.
Would you like to announce the veterans?
When you call the parade of veterans, there is a designated order of the presentation of the flags. The first will be the United States Army. They were commissioned 3rd June, 1784 by the Continental Congress. Army. Second in the order is the United States Marine Corps, commissioned November 11th, 1775. Now, at the current time, J.T. Hand's son is currently serving on active duty with the United States Marine Corps, and my son had just completed 20 years service with the Marine Corps. The next is the United States Navy, commissioned October 13, 1775. Next in the order is the United States Air Force, which used to be the Army Air Corps, but commissioned September 18th, 1947. The Air Force. Now, we don't have representatives for the Space Force, the Coast Guard, or the Merchant Marine, but they all had active duty service with us, and we're very proud of them. Now, I have a Trivial Pursuit question for you. By percentage of people involved in World War II, who had the highest percentage of casualties? Which branch of service? Army, Marines, you're all wrong. Air Force is wrong, but close. It was the Merchant Marine. They had the highest percentage of fatalities of any branch of the service. Thank you for your service and thank you for recognizing us.
Face forward, march.
It's impressive seeing them, isn't it? I liked your eyes watching them. As we sing the Star Spangled Banner, let's remember those men and women who have served us so faithfully. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glow, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join me in a word of prayer. Dear Lord and great lover of the universe, people of goodwill seek justice, but we often find injustice. We hope for love and compassion, but too often find hatred and greed. We pray for peace, but too often find war. Into the frightening and often violent space between what we seek and what we find, we thrust our neighbors, friends, and family members who wear the uniforms of our armed forces. Today, we give thanks for the service of our veterans, both those here among us in this Rotary Club and those everywhere. For those who have faced the terrors of combat and who have come home unharmed to us, we give thanks for their courage and their safe return. For those who have been scarred by the violence of war in body, mind, and spirit, we give thanks for their bravery and pray for their healing. For those whose service led to their giving the last full measure of devotion, we give thanks for their sacrifice on our behalf and mourn their loss. For those who wore the uniform and worked in support of combat troops who transported and fed, provided medical care, processed and administered, fixed and maintained, we give you thanks for their good work and dedication. And for the families of our veterans who loved and supported them in their service, who gave up their loved ones for service to the nation, we give thanks for their patience and sacrifice. May their examples of service above self inspire us to greater service. May the price that they paid inspire us to build a world more filled with justice, compassion, and peace, so that our warriors, though they stand ready, need not be thrust into that frightening and violent space of war again. Amen.
I have the pleasure of introducing our guests today. When I call your name, please stand at your place and wait to be recognized by our president. We have two visiting Rotarians today. First, Nancy Park, visiting from Martha's Vineyard Rotary. She's the guest of George Hummel. And also Jose Santiago from Uptown York Rotary, guest of Joyce Santiago. Guest of our speaker, Aaron Stockton. Guest of Jeff Vermeulen, Cindy Reisinger. The following are visiting us from the William Penn JROTC, Keila Vasquez, Lizbeth Grulin, Kiara Johnson, India Tete, Nayazi Generate, and John Howard. The following are guests of our Youth Leadership Committee, Maya Calabretta, Matthew Calabretta, Tanya Calabretta, John D'Amo, Everett Heine, Paul Heine, Christine Heine, Teddy Heine, Olivia Byron, Connie Wolf, Paige Hoke, and Erica Levitt. Guests of Tom Caltagirone, Michael Caltagirone, Mima Caltagirone, and Harry Martin. That one I could say. Ronald Starnes and Ann Brzozowski, two new members joining us today.
You know, I count more guests today than some clubs have members. I don't say that to boast. I say that to illustrate the impact and presence we have in our community. And today is a very special day for a lot of reasons, but the fact that you're here today as our guest makes it even more special because it's a chance for us to make new friends. And who knows, maybe today's also special because it's the day you think about joining the Rotary Club of York. Be it that first step, I can't think of anything that makes me happier than seeing you. And no matter what, we all want to see you again. Rotarians, please join me in welcoming our guests. We have a variety of announcements to share with the club today. First and foremost, condolences to past President Mike Summers and past President Jackie Summers. For those of you who don't know, Mike's father, Tom, had passed last week on November 2nd. Those who knew Tom Summers knew he was a very kind man, and he touched the lives of very many people. So please keep his family and friends in your thoughts and prayers. On a similar note, I did receive word that Charlie Snyder, our fellow member of our club, is in the hospital. To what reason, I do not know. But other than that, just to keep his well-being in your prayers and thoughts over the next few days, and we'll keep you updated as necessary. On to more pragmatic and club-related announcements. The program committee will meet downstairs in the mixed grill immediately following our club meeting today. The Rotary Club of York board will meet tomorrow, 8 a.m. via Zoom. The Rotary Foundation International Committee meets tomorrow at 3 p.m. also via Zoom. And the IDEA Committee will meet Monday, November 13th at 8 a.m. via Zoom. Looking ahead on the calendar, on December 6th, we are not going to be here. Put that in your phone. We will not be at the Rotary Club of York. We will be at York College, where we enjoy a beautiful lunch in the York View Room, and then proceed to the Walden Performing Arts Center, because that's going to be our holiday rave review, much like we had last year. Thank you, past President Glenn Miller, for helping us to make those arrangements, as well as Lynn Bergdahl. So we will need reservations for that event. It is required. You will find a link in tomorrow's announcer, so check your email so you can do the easy online registration, because we want to see you there. Deadline for this event is on November 29th. Another announcement of things, I just get a lot of oh by the ways today. It came to my attention from the president of York Water Company, our very own JT Hand, that if you haven't been aware, we still are under mandatory water restrictions. In fact, to hear the story from JT, it doesn't sound very good, because JT's forecast says that by December, our trajectory is to be down 18 inches below the annual average for York County. That's a lot of water that's not here. I say this because, one, I want to thank those of our club who have been helping to do their part to abide by that restriction to conserve our water, but also thank you to the Country Club of York for abiding by the restrictions and trying to limit water use. And I say that because if you haven't noticed, if you want water, you got to ask for it. And that's been taking a little bit of understanding and patience. So when you see the wait staff and they give you a glass of water, thank them a little extra more next time. It's a little extra work for them. So thank you. Now, speaking of past President Glenn Miller, I would like to invite him to the podium to give us an update on the strategic planning report. Past President Glenn.
Thank you very much, President Aaron. Good afternoon, everybody. Early in my year of serving as your president, it struck me and several others on the board of directors that it might be a good time to revisit our club's strategic plan. Our club has been well ahead of the curve in strategic planning for many years, thanks particularly to the leadership of John Kleindienst and Rich Randall and others. Going into last year, it struck me that since the last major revision of our strategic plan, seismic change had occurred both externally and internally. On the external side, the 300-pound gorilla was, of course, the pandemic. Thanks to the leadership of Ann Druck and Jackie Summers, we weathered that storm far better than many other clubs. But as all of us know from our businesses and our personal lives, much of what changed during COVID was not temporary, as we thought it might be, but instead was permanently altering the landscape of our life together. You could see that reflected in the announcements. Every committee meeting is now by Zoom. Did our current plan and our current vision take that reality into account, we wondered. Internally, one very positive change at least had come as a result of new intentional focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Over the last several years, thanks to some very intentional efforts from our members, we have brought in a wave of new, more diverse members who have brought new understandings and perspectives with them, maybe new expectations of us. Were we addressing this good change as fully and comprehensively as possible? And third, a more subtle but important change had taken place. The move of our weekly meetings out of the city of York that had historically been both our home and our focus, a move that we thought was going to be temporary. During my presidency, it became clear that what we had thought for years would be temporary was in fact now more permanent exile. With that realization, how did we now see and understand ourselves relative to the city? Were we still the city club, even if we're not having lunch there? These issues led us to form a small task force whose work was to look with new eyes and fresh perspective on what we have been doing and determine if there should be any changes in the future. We were led in our efforts by Rich Randall, a seasoned strategic planning leader both outside and within our club. What we thought might take a few months took a year. And in my view, that was a very good thing, for it meant that we were wrestling seriously with the issues and recognizing that there were no quick or easy answers. In addition to meetings of the task force, there were focus group meetings with key not-for-profit and business leaders in the York community, with our club committee chairs, and of course, with our board of directors. It was, I don't mind telling you, a wild ride, but a ride that I believe has brought us to a very good place. The culmination of this process was a board-approved set of documents that includes a new mission statement, a new vision statement, and an affirmation of our current existing value statement, and 7 areas of focus. And I'm going to put those up on the screen for you now. Our new mission statement, I won't read everything aloud, but I will read this aloud: to improve life in the city of York by connecting our club's diverse community leaders through fellowship, action, and service. Our vision statement is like unto it: thriving club, thriving city of York. The 4-way test, which we did not recite this morning as we normally do, is still at the core of who we are and what we do. And then There are 7 areas of focus, and I'm going to click through these somewhat quickly. I don't think I'll read through all of them in the interest of time. And there's the one pager. I'll leave that up on the screen. The new mission and vision statements, above all else, reinforce our self-understanding as a club deeply connected to the city of York, an important question that we needed to answer, again, given our move out of the city for these meetings. And the vision statement as well, reflecting that focus. The newest thing here are the areas of focus. The idea for this came straight from Rotary International, which identifies in their case 6 areas of focus for its life and work, a drilling down in the present time and context of how the mission and vision of the organization should be lived out in practical terms. I'm extraordinarily proud of the work that our leaders did on this effort. Our strategic planning task force members were myself, President Aaron Jacobs, President-elect Courtney Piccolo, Jules Tolbert, Jan Gupta-May, Bill Hartman, Joyce Santiago, and Mike Black. If you are here, would you stand and be recognized by the club for your work? Thank you. In closing, for now, let me say that as good as the work that has been done was and is, I believe, as good as the documents are that we've created, none of this will matter a whit if it stops here. And I suspect we have all been involved in strategic planning work that has ended with a lovely set of documents that then sit on a shelf collecting dust. We are truly hoping this does not happen here. In the coming weeks and months, we will be gathering with our committee chairs and with other leaders in the club and the community to focus on particularly those 7 areas listed. What are the next steps? How do we begin to live out this new set of documents? How do we put flesh on these bones? If we do that well, if we take this mission, vision, values, and areas of focus seriously, I suspect it will mean some change. It will mean taking on new projects. It may mean sunsetting some existing projects. It will mean looking openly and objectively at what these focus areas are asking of us. It may mean some realignment of how we get our work done. The new mission statement has been appearing at the bottom of the weekly announcer that you receive every week, so I am sure that you have all seen it and been pondering that, because I know you read that from top to bottom. In case you haven't, there will be copies of these documents available for you on your way out if you'd like to pick one up and give it a little more attention. And as soon as we can, we will have the new documents up on our website. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Past President Glenn, for a well-articulated presentation. And I would echo that sentiment to say that being part of the process, it was equally provocative and meaningful. But at the end, I'm very pleased with the outcome that team did along with our board of directors. So thank you again. And now I'd like to invite Alex Kataszewski to the podium to talk to Students of the Month. Alex.
Okay. Good afternoon. I would like to introduce you to our 2 Student of the Month representatives from York Country Day School. Our first student is Maya Calbretta. She's a junior and from parents Tanya and Matt. Maya is a member of the National English and STEM Society, International Thespian Society, and a member of the National Honor Society. Maya's school activities include theater and likes to dance in her spare time. Her career plans are to receive a BFA in acting and pursue a career in film and TV. Our second student of the month is Everett Heine, who is a junior. Parents are Paul and Christina Heine. Everett's school activities include National Honor Society, National English Society, National Art Society, International Thespian Society, STEM Society, painting, and drawing, music club, speech and debate club, philosophy, theater, and volunteering. In his spare time, which I can't believe he has, Everett enjoys painting, drawing, hiking, reading, movies, board games, cooking, listening to music, and spending time with family and friends. Everett's career plans are to study engineering and to be part of the team that is first to establish colonies on the moon and other planets. He also like to become active in politics and community leadership to find solutions and improvements to the current systems and problems we face in the world. Thank you.
Good morning, Rotarians and guests. Thank you so much for having me. Before I start, I do want to give a special thank you to my theater director, Miss Hoke, who came along to support me. When I was thinking about the topic of my speech today, I decided you may not be interested in hearing about my dreams and aspirations, so I'd talk to you about a topic that you will hopefully find relevant. Real quick, by a show of hands, how many people in here have either seen or performed in a play, musical, or television show? Perfect. My topic seems to be relevant. Today, I want to talk to you about performing arts. I decided to express what I believe the value is of being part of a theater community. Being a thespian means that you are a member of a family who will welcome, accept, and love you for who you are. It means being able to get on stage and make an audience feel something. It means embracing a world of unlimited possibilities. Finally, being a thespian means loving what you are doing and having fun in the process. I want to express to you the ways that theater and performing arts affect you and how you can affect it. When people ask me what I want to major in, I tell them performing arts. Normally, their first response is, "What's your backup plan?" My response is that I don't need one. Nearly 80% of the population watches television or some form of entertainment every day. Over 47 million Americans have attended at least one live theater performance within the past month. About 2.7 billion people watch YouTube on a day-to-day basis. Remember when I asked you to raise your hand to show me if you had seen or participated in some form of performing arts? You contribute to the demographic I just discussed. There will always be new opportunities and jobs available because you are the demand for new entertainment. In addition to wanting new content to watch, you also want our future generations to be successful. Not all thespians desire to go into the entertainment business. In fact, they may be the ones taking the jobs at your businesses. They are the future workforce of this country. My generation has been criticized for our lack of social skills because of technology. Many of us suffer because we are used to doing most things online. By having over 50% of my conversations online, this causes me a disadvantage in the real world. However, because of theater, I am able to stand up here and deliver this speech to you. Theater not only provides a sense of community and belonging, but also helps prepare people for public speaking, communication, and feedback. I challenge you to think about other ways theater can benefit you, but our future generations too. If you have children, ask them if they would be interested in participating in a theater camp or a small production. If you don't have kids, go see a show. In fact, if I have piqued your interest, I have an opportunity for you. On November 10th, 11th, and 12th, the York Country Day Theater Department is putting on Pride at Prejudice. It's an adaptation of Jane Austen's romantic comedy with modern narration. We would love to see your faces in the audience. I appreciate the opportunity to represent York Country Day School and speak to you today. Thank you all for listening. I hope to see you this weekend.
There we are. That was fantastic, Maya. Again, I hope to see all of you there, or at least some of you. I'd like to. Good afternoon, and thank you for inviting me to speak before you today. Thank you to the York Rotary, my teachers at York Country Day School, and all of you who are here today. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. My name is Everett, and I'm a junior in high school. I'm a betting man, and I'd wager I'm here today because I earned fairly good grades. But to my parents' chagrin, grades for the most part mean very little to me. I've always just wanted to learn, and I set the arts in the highest regard. I'm neither a cynic nor a pessimist. In fact, I'm an optimist by choice. Established in the works of great minds and thinkers past and present. What I have shared thus far may sound oxymoronic, but I do live my life with a glass half full mentality and a hopeful heart that quality moments are all around us, within our reach and within our making. I've been given the gift to live, think, and study freely. I don't take these opportunities for granted. I ask a lot of questions. I observe people and patterns, and I'm simply curious. What I've encountered is a strange change or discord, if you will, since the pandemic. It was probably always there, but I was 13 at the time, and I can't account for my 13-year-old brain. I have been searching for answers, causes, and solutions. Like most of my hobbies, I deep dived. Hours became days, and days became months in my search for answers. The philosophers and thought leaders across the centuries provided insights and rationale that resonated with me. They gave voice to some of my more complicated thoughts and feelings. In their works, I began to consider more clearly and deliberately how things could be and even how they should be. They nudged me to consider what is possible. They made me aspire to be better every single day. Their writing helped me not only to look, but see. So I looked up, and there I saw them. Birds. The unassuming and noisy beasts? Yeah. I saw not little vermin, but the freest of all creatures, the first composers, and the most elegant of all things under the sky. They do not war or deem life unworth living. Their only cruelty is the fact they are beasts, and we cannot fault them for that. They see the great open sky, the great blue expanse, and do not cower. Birds take freedom as an invitation to make the sky their domain. But the expanse is not without its risks, and one cannot remain idle forever. Birds explore with purpose, and they never fear the breaking branch. Instead, they move forward with confidence in the power of their wings. I see our lives as similar to birds. If we are ever to do anything worthwhile, we must take a risk, we must venture into the unknown, and we must be strong enough to confront our challenges. To make our dreams reality, we must fight against the odds, fight against the cynicism of the world, and strive to make each day better than the previous. We will be confronted by those who destroy and tear down and seem all-powerful, but they are anything but that. They find it easy to destroy the grandest tower, ruin the most magnificent painting, or hurt the kindest man, because after all, destruction is the most simple, base, and primitive act. Let us not let those who destroy conquer our lives. As Langston Hughes once shared, hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken-winged bird that cannot fly. Thank you.
Thank you, Maya and Everett. You may be seated. I often tell students that leadership is a journey of learning and service, and I think everyone here would agree with that statement. Congratulations on all the success you've had so far. Keep up the good work and continue to live out Rotary's service above self in all that you do. And now it is my pleasure to invite Ann Druck, our past president, to the podium to introduce our speaker. Ann.
Today, as we honor our veterans, we welcome a native Yorker, a foster mother, author, and United States Army veteran as our speaker, retired Lieutenant Colonel Sandra Kearse Stockton. Born in York as Sandra Lee Smallwood, she is the author of the trilogy, 480 Codorus Street, Surviving Unpredictability, Trials and Tribulations and Endurance. She served in the United States Army as a nurse for 30 years and retired as a lieutenant colonel. Her husband of 50 years, Aaron, is with us today. He is also a veteran of the Air Force. She is a mother of 4 children and suffered the tragic loss of her youngest son as a victim of gun violence. Sandra and Aaron are blessed with 17 grands and 10 great-grandchildren. Sandra's devotion to education is evident in the fact that she earned not 1, not 2, but 3 college degrees. Her devotion to humanity is evident in the impressive and amazing fact that she and Aaron has served as foster parents for over 100 children. Earlier this year, she received our community's 4 Chaplains Legion of Honor Award. When she's not writing, Sandra spends most of her time watching vintage black and white movies, going to the movies with Aaron, driving from state to state, signing her books for readers, recording her YouTube episodes, and talking with her many family and friends. You can connect with her via her various channels: web, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Sandra's books are available for purchase to my right and your left after our meeting today. I think you'll enjoy coming up to meet with her and Aaron. Also, you can find copies of her works at any one of our 13 local York County libraries. Sandra's life is one that is touched by profound tragedy, resilience, and triumph. Please join me in a warm Rotary welcome for Colonel Sandra Kearse Stockton.
Hello, everybody. Full house. I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. I want to take you on a few trips with me, so I want you to just pay attention and follow along. It was a long time ago in June of 1991, a hot summer in South Korea. I was stationed at the 121 Evacuation Hospital. I had been on a post for about 10 days before I had to report to my duty station. So when the 10 days were up, I reported, and I went in very early because I don't like being late. I've learned that a long time ago with my mother as a child. If you get up late, you'll miss the day. So I got there early, and the hallways were dark, and the military hospitals, like brick hospitals overseas, small highways, and they have night lights kind of on the floor. So it was dark up there, and there was nobody moving around. I figured they were probably in report, and I kind of tilted my head to the break room, and it was quiet, and they were in there. So I decided to just be nosy around the ward, until it was time for the lights to come on. So I decided to walk down the hallway, and down the end of the hallway, there was a window, and the window's about to my waist high, and then a big window. While I was walking through the dark hallway, the lights started to flicker, just flicker. I was like, why are those lights flickering, I don't want any crazy stuff going on here. I just got in country. So I'm walking back there, and it's flicking, and I look through the window, and I think I see somebody hanging on a wire, and they're just jerking like crazy. And I think I see somebody laying down next to them. And all of a sudden the lights came up, and they turned the lights, and it was open. And I'm like, did I just look out that window and watch somebody get electrocuted? Now I'm really worried. My heart's pounding. I don't know this person. I don't know who was up there. I could have sworn that somebody was hanging onto that wire, and they were being electrocuted and then dropped. So that morning in report, which was a few minutes, I went there, I shut my mouth, introduced myself because I was new. They said, glad you're here. We were looking forward to seeing you. So later on that day, the chief nurse, she brought up about 2 people getting electrocuted outside the hospital. So I actually watched somebody die. Unpredictability, something you couldn't have prevented, and you just happened to be there at the wrong time, right place. Let's move a little forward now to winter, February 1992. A very cold winter in Korea and in York, Pennsylvania. I happened to work the night shift this one night, and I was in a good mood because my husband and my daughter had came to visit me and stayed for a few weeks, and they had just left for holidays. And so I went through the night shift. Me and my soldiers, a quiet night, gave report when the shift changed, and decided to wait in the break room, for a few minutes so I could walk across the base to get my hair done, which is about 3 blocks outside the main gate. Shift came to an end, got myself bundled up in my BDUs, and walked out through the gate, showed my ID, and went to the hair shop and got my hair done. That went well, and then it was time to bundle up again and hike about 4 blocks to my hoot where I lived. So I went up there through the snow and the wind, the bitter cold wind, shivering and getting into my room, and couldn't wait to get in there. No sooner than I got in there, I just went in my room. I had one roommate who was still there, who wasn't on leave, TDY. Went in my room and sat on the bed. I said, whew, for the night. I need to get some sleep because I have to work tonight. So I was going to take a shower, and then I decided I would just sit in my chair for a few minutes, and relax. And my phone rang. It was my baby girl. And she said, "Hey, Mom, what's up?" I said, "Hey, what's up?" And she said, "I was just calling you to let you know that everything in York, Pennsylvania, there's no gossip. Everything's good. Family's good. We're good in Maryland. No problem." She said, "I saw Nanny, and she said she's doing good and she misses you and she's going to write you a letter." I said, "That's nice. I'm glad everybody's doing well." So we talked for a while, and I said, "Oh, baby girl, I have to go to sleep now. I have to work tonight. I'm really, really tired." "Okay, Mom, I'll check you. I'll get with you later." So I think at that time, it was Korea time in the morning for me, but I think it was nighttime for you guys the next day. That's how the times. I think it's behind her friend. I can't remember exactly. And so I sat back in a chair and never made it to the shower because I fell asleep. And I was into a nice deep sleep, and the phone started ringing. And I thought I was dreaming. Then I reached over and picked up the phone. It's my baby girl again. I said, "Hey." She said, "Hey, Mom, it's Carmen Trina." I said, "Did we just talk?" Because now I think I'm dreaming because I just talked to you. She said, "No, we just talked." I said, "What's going on?" And I hear the voice of my older daughter say, "Hey, Mom, I'm on the line too." They live in 2 different states, Maryland and Virginia. I said, "What's going on, Carmen? What's going on, Kimmy?" And then I hear my son, my baby son, Keenan, the one who was murdered, say, "I'm with Carmen Trina, Mom." And then I heard my son, Kevin, said, "Mom, I'm in York at Nanny's house." And he was with his cousin. And he said, "Nanny's house is on fire. I could do this. My mother's house is on fire. And my sister is on fire on Prospect Street." That was a long time ago. I'm still here. And then on the phone and knowing that they're dying in a fire and you can't do nothing about it. Unpredictability. We all have them and we can't control them. They come. So by the time I got finished being hysterical on the phone and hearing my kids, I told them I had to go. And I called a friend of mine, and I had one roommate still there, and she heard me crying, and she came in. I explained it to her. And she said, "I'm going to call the chief nurse." She called the chief nurse to tell her what's going on. I shared that with her. And my chief called, and she said, "Sandra, I want you to go to the hospital, to the emergency room." And my friend took me there. Another friend came out of the car, and they took me there. So I went to the emergency room. Everybody knew me. So I was like hysterical, and they gave me some medication to calm me down. And then my chief came to the hospital, and she said, "Captain, what do you need? Do you need money?" I said, "No, I'm good." She said, "Well, tell your husband or someone in your family to call the Red Cross to get you out of here." So my husband called me. And I could hear, you ever hear somebody crying? I could hear his tears. And I said, "You don't have to tell me. I already know." And so he said he would do that. And the Red Cross called about an hour later. I was on a flight the next morning in Korea, flying 18 hours to get to York. So I got here. My husband met me at BWI, and we drove to York to my older sister and Mary's house. My remaining siblings were there beside my brother, and she kind of made some plans before I got there. So the funeral came up at the church we went to, Bethel AME, I think, and I didn't realize my mother had so many friends. The church was full. I was in uniform, and I was worried about my sisters and brothers acting out. I didn't want that, acting out, how people do at funerals. So because I had those pills, I drugged them. I drugged them. I tell everybody's taking a pill because we're not hooping and hollering and screaming and crying. So I had that Valium, and they all had some too. So we were all sitting in front of the church. Everybody was cool, calm, and collective. Nobody's hooping, hollering, and crying. We're all good. And one sister, Mabel, wasn't there yet. They're ready to start the service with the 2 caskets up there, closed, of course. And I look over to the door because I'm far from the door and I see my sister in the door and they're not letting her in. There were so many people that had security there. So I got up and walked over there to the security. I said, that's my sister. I need her in. And she's all fussing and she said, but I didn't see mom. The cancer's closed. Now we got to open it so she could see we did that and we went and sat down. I had her sit beside me and I popped out one of those pills. I said, I need you to swallow this pill. She said, I ain't swallowing that pill. What am I swallowing? Swallow with spit, swallow that pill. Gave her that pill. She swallowed that pill. So everybody was sedated. We got through that and we went to the funeral and everybody went to the repast, but I chose to go home even though my kids stayed in York. I chose to go home and stayed in Maryland for almost 30 days. I needed to fly back because I didn't know that some of my siblings would be so crazy about all of this, but we all had those losses, but we all looked at it in a different way. I felt I needed to go back to Korea to my duty station, get out of New York because I was in Maryland, just too much. You know, my mom had 6 girls and a boy. This sister's man with this sister's man, this sister's man. I got to get out of here. I'm going crazy here. So I get on the flight and fly back to Korea. 18 hours flying back to Korea and thinking I was on that plane, going to that funeral again, just a memory. I get back, I go to my duty station, and a Korean national who is our secretary is out there desk. He says, Captain Stockton, what are you doing here? I said, I work here. He said, you're not stationed here no more. Where am I stationed? You're stationed at Walter Reed in Washington, D.C. I'm like, what? No one called me. So I go to the chief's office. I'm telling her, and she said, I thought you'd want to be home. I said, ma'am, everybody got crazy in their family, and mine's really crazy now. I need to be here. So I'll get your orders changed, and you can stay here. That was good. I was going through things, and people wanting to ask questions, and my military family were really good to me. Even at the funeral, they sent a big bouquet and said, your family in Korea. My comrades, they were just all the besties that I had over there, like another family. But I wanted to get out of Korea because there was too many memories. So moving forward, I went, I guess 6 months later to San Antonio. And I went to school. And at school, I was so busy that I didn't have time to think about what was going on here, what happened to my sisters. I didn't have time to think about anything. I was getting through that course. Moving forward to Fort Eustis, November 1992. It was a small hospital, nice hospital. I liked it. Things were going good. Most of the nurses were civilian nurses. And one of the nurses, older Black nurse, was orienting me on the night shift. And one thing she said to me the first night we worked together is that you need to learn all the players here if you're going to survive. I'm thinking, what the heck? What does that mean? And she goes, a lot of young officers coming who are nurses of color, and you're a nurse of color, but you're older. I got a direct commission at 43, so I was older than the lieutenants that are 20, 25, 30, et cetera. She said, learn the players here. That's crazy. I'm gonna just try to do my job and do it good. So about a year later, when we were in the Iraq Desert Shield, Desert Storm, when that war hit, true colors started to show. We were losing soldiers left and right. We were short-staffed. They were bringing in contract nurses to fill the spots, and things are going on. And the people at the top of the nursing chain with the power, the full bird colonels, were making lieutenants and the captains pull all the dirty work, all the night shifts, you know, managing the hospital, all kinds of certain things, crazy stuff. And at one point I was like, this is crazy. I am a captain. I don't know how the junk you guys are talking about, you know? I can't do this. So I decided I had enough of them. I'm not going to Iraq. I don't hope to go there, and I don't think I owe the Army no time. So I went to personnel and said, what do I need to do to get out of the Army? What do I need to do? And the person, the corpsman at the desk, you don't do anything. You don't owe the Army anything. But you have to tell your chief nurse you're going to sign off on it. Why she got to sign if I don't owe them nothing? So I said, do the paperwork. I took it, took her. They were all upset about I'm leaving, but I'm leaving. 30 days later, I was out of Fort Eustis and back in Maryland. 2 weeks out of Maryland, I was sitting there chilling. I didn't want to work. I didn't want to do anything. I don't want to see no more soldiers with limbs missing. I don't want to hear anything. I just want the normal life back that I had before I went active duty. And about 2 weeks later, maybe there was a knock on my front door, and I looked out the window, and it's this white full bird colonel dressed in Class B's. I'm like, well, what she want, you know? So I Answered the door and she says, I'm looking for Captain Stockton. I said, that's me. I said, may I? I said, yes, ma'am, come in. So she came in and she was talking, she was trying to talk me out of not getting out. 2 more weeks and I would have been officially out of active duty if I didn't go back. I said, ma'am, I can't go back there. I can't, you don't understand. She said, I heard about all the racial stuff going on here. I heard. She said, and that's why they're sending me there. So you know me, I look at her, ma'am, you are Caucasian. You will be one of them. What are you going to do different? I don't think you understand what the Black nurses are going through. And she tilted her head back, she said, I do know. My husband's a colonel, Black man in the US Army. I know what you're dealing with. That's where they're sending me there. I was like, okay. So we talked for a while and everything. And she said, do you think maybe you might want to give me a try? She said, I think I'm just done. She said, well, do me a favor. You got 2 more weeks to sign in somewhere, back on active duty in the reserves, or you're out. So 2 weeks later, I signed into a reserve unit. That's how I got the rest of those years. I went and did it. It was going well, but I still wasn't working as a nurse. I was actually working in a liquor store with my husband, a lottery machine. And he came home one day and said, are you going to get a real job? Because, you know, the bills around here, and, you know, you ain't really working. And I said, yeah. So I got a job working PRN at a hospital. And one day I went to a shift and I was coming home. And it was raining. And I didn't know where I was. I had a panic attack in the car. I started crying and I didn't know how to get home. I stopped at a gas station. I called my husband, who never answers his pager. And back then it was pagers, you know, and one big bulky phone he had, he never answered. I called another friend who had that phone and called me. He said, where are you? And I'm crying. He said, I told you I'm lost. So the guy at the gas station gets on the phone, explains to him where I'm at. He's telling me how to get to the Washington, D.C. VA hospital. I wrote it down. I took myself there and went to the emergency room. And that was my journey for mental health. Mental health is not a bad word if you're lost. And I think what happened when you're in the military, when you come out, your day is set. Oh, 600 this, 1200 this, 600 that. You can't do this, you can't do that. 2400, I want you there. I don't care how you get it done, but you need to get it done. But coming home and doing nothing all those days, like, whoa, no one's telling me what to do. I'm lost, you know? So that was my journey into mental health. I bring that up. You got my notebook, babe? The one, the little one. I'm sorry, right here, right here. And I wanted to talk to you guys about care at the VA system, because I think that right now we have so many veterans and active duty military committing suicide because they're lost and they need help. I'm sorry. Yes, sir. I've met soldiers when I speak to people and they tell me that they hate the military, the VA hospitals, because the VA hospital doesn't do anything for them. And they put in claims and the claims get turned down and then they quit. But I think if you're a veteran, I don't care if you served a day in the military, you were active duty for a day and you got something happen to you in the military, you deserve to get what you're supposed to have. And that's through the VA system. I have civilian doctors through Johns Hopkins, but I go to the VA as well because I like the camaraderie there. A lot of times I tell people about their claims, I help people. I used to help people. If you put a claim in and it gets denied, don't quit. A lot of people just quit and say, oh, they said no. I don't care, I'm not going to deal with it. There are many service organizations in the military that will help you put in claims. You might have been out of the military 20 or 30 years, but maybe now you have respiratory problems. Maybe you have COPD. Maybe something happened that you can't put your finger on it, but maybe you were exposed to something. They talk about the PAC Act that came out too long ago. For instance, if you were a mechanic on planes or cars, and all of a sudden you got respiratory issues, you might have been exposed to something toxic that you need to check out. There are so many things that you can help with. The Veteran Service Organizations are DAV, Disabled American Vets, Veterans of Foreign Wars. You can even go to military hospitals and get help, DOD, and ask for a caseworker. The VA healthcare system, the American Legions, AMVETS, there are many places who help you put in claims. One thing the VA does have, they have pills, and there's a pill for everything. Yellow pills, red pills, blue pills, whatever kind of pill you need to help you, they got a pill. Pills don't cure you, that is true. And pills don't cure your mental health, that is true. I can testify that I was taking pills for a long time for mental problems. I used to self-medicate myself with Benadryl to sleep, and I got out of that. But I'm telling you, if you got something going on, especially in the world today with everything that's happening, all the shootings and at the schools and random shootings in clubs, we all have something on our mind. There's something predictable that happens every day to many people. I'm telling you that if you're a veteran and you have things going on, you deserve to get the stipends that you want. And if you know anybody who's a caregiver for a veteran, the VA came up with a new stipend, like $3,000 a month. If a person is taking care of their veteran husband, veteran wife, because they can't take care of themselves, there's a stipend for that. Most people don't know that. There's a stipend for many things. But if you're in the military, check them out. If you have any questions about filing a claim, you can email me. It's my name, Sandra Stockton, 34@gmail.com, and I will answer those questions for you. But you should seek those things out. Talked about that. And another thing too, a long time ago, if you were in the military, like 30, 40 years ago, back in the day, the military gave you cigarettes. And your MRAs, they passed out cigarettes. You didn't have to pay for them. You might have lung cancer because they gave you cigarettes and started that smoking habit. You might not have smoked when you went in. But once they start giving you cigarettes, now you smoke. There are so many things that you could have been exposed to. I don't think I said anything. I know I talk really fast. And I might have missed some things. But if you have any questions, please ask me. I'm open. Yeah.
Thank you, Sandra.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Sandra, you know, some stories are more difficult to tell than others. And your topsy-turvy experiences took a lot of courage and wisdom just for you to work through it. And I thank you for sharing your story, your courage, and your wisdom to inspire all of us. And I thank you to all of our veterans as well for your courage and service. Now, in honor of the program today, Sandra has signed the book template in the book, A Testament of Hope by Martin Luther King Jr., and it will be donated to the York Country Day School, along with a bookmark made by the students at Creative York. Now, that was quite a program today, but next week is going to be just as good, because it's often said that child care teachers are the workforce behind the workforce. The PA Early Learning Investment Commission, otherwise known as ELIC, is a partnership of business leaders dedicated to making the success of every child in Pennsylvania a top priority. Christy Rangelian, the CCC Executive Director of the Community Connections for Children in York, along with Emeritus Commissioners Pete Brubaker and Tony Campisi, will provide us a brief update on the state of child care in York County and the early success of the innovative grant program to support early child care teacher retention. Bonus, next week, President-elect Courtney will be it'll be her first time running a meeting, as I will be away that week. So as we close, I would like to ask our members and guests to please stand for the retiring of the colors. Thank you, William Penn, JROTC. Thank you all. This meeting is adjourned.